In the annals of history, kings and conquerors often dominate the narrative, their achievements etched into stone and celebrated in song. Yet, behind many such figures are individuals whose quiet strength, sharp intellect, and unwavering loyalty shape the destinies of nations. One such figure is Maud of Savoy, the wife of Afonso I of Portugal, a queen whose role in the founding of the Portuguese monarchy is both profound and underappreciated. Born into the noble house of Savoy, Maud's journey from the Alps to the Iberian Peninsula is a story of courage, diplomacy, and resilience, woven into the turbulent fabric of medieval Europe. In the mid-12th century, Europe was a patchwork of feuding kingdoms and principalities, each vying for power and influence. Amid this chaos, the Kingdom of Portugal emerged as a fledgling state. Forged in the fires of the Reconquista, the Christian effort to reclaim the Iberian Peninsula from Muslim rule. At its helm was Afonso I, a warrior king with grand ambitions to secure his people's independence and carve a place for Portugal among Europe's great nations. But Afonso was not alone in this endeavor. His marriage to Maud of Savoy was more than a political alliance. It was a partnership that would shape the trajectory of his reign and the future of his kingdom. Maud's early life in Savoy prepared her well for the challenges she would face as queen. Born into the powerful house of her father, Amadeus III, Count of Savoy, she was steeped in the traditions of European nobility. Her education was comprehensive, encompassing not only the expected domestic skills of a noblewoman but also the intricacies of diplomacy, governance, and the arts. These were the tools of influence in a world where marriage alliances often determined the fate of entire realms. When Maud was betrothed to Afonso I, it was a match that bridged geographical and cultural divides. Savoy, nestled in the shadow of the Alps, was a world apart from the rugged, sun-baked lands of Portugal. Yet the union made strategic sense. For Portugal, the marriage brought a connection to the influential courts of Europe, lending legitimacy to a kingdom still seeking recognition on the international stage. For Savoy, it established a foothold in the Iberian Peninsula, extending its influence into a region of growing importance. The journey from Savoy to Portugal was a physical and symbolic crossing for Maud. She left behind her homeland, her family, and the comforts of a well-established court to join a kingdom still in its infancy. Portugal was a land of contrasts, fertile valleys and windswept coasts juxtaposed with the scars of war. The people were resilient, their spirit forged through generations of conflict. And Maud quickly adapted to her new role as queen of this rugged land. Her presence at court brought an air of refinement and an infusion of European culture. But it also signaled a new era of stability and growth. As queen, Maud's influence was both visible and subtle. In public, she was a steadfast supporter of her husband's campaigns, rallying the nobility and fostering alliances that strengthened the kingdom's position. Behind the scenes, she was a trusted confidant, her counsel shaping Afonso's strategies both on and off the battlefield. It was said that Maud possessed a keen understanding of human nature, a trait that made her an effective mediator during court disputes and a formidable diplomat in negotiations with foreign powers. The birth of Maud and Afonso's children marked a new chapter in their lives and the life of the kingdom. As a mother, Maud was deeply involved in their upbringing, instilling in them the values of courage, faith, and service to their people. Her son, Sancho I, who would later ascend the throne, inherited her pragmatism and vision, qualities that would serve him well in the years to come. Her daughter, Urraca, became a symbol of the strong alliances Maud had cultivated, marrying into another influential family and further securing Portugal's place in European politics. Throughout her life, Maud balanced the demands of motherhood, queenship, and diplomacy with remarkable grace. Her commitment to the church was another cornerstone of her influence. She was a patron of religious institutions, supporting the establishment of monasteries and promoting spiritual reform. Her deep faith resonated with the Portuguese people, solidifying the bond between the monarchy and the church. a relationship that would define Portugal for centuries. Maud's story is not without its trials. The path to Portugal's independence was fraught with challenges, from internal rebellions to external threats. Through it all, Maud remained a pillar of strength, her resolve unwavering even in the face of adversity. Her partnership with Afonso was not merely one of convenience but of mutual respect and shared purpose. Together, they navigated the turbulent waters of medieval politics, laying the foundations of a kingdom that would endure for generations. As we reflect on Maud of Savoy's life, it becomes clear that her legacy is one of quiet power and enduring impact. She was a bridge between worlds, uniting the traditions of her Savoyard heritage with the aspirations of a young and ambitious Portugal. Her influence extended beyond her lifetime, shaping the reigns of her children and leaving an indelible mark on Portuguese history. In a time when queens were often relegated to the background, Maud stepped into the spotlight, not through grand gestures or sweeping reforms, but through her steadfast dedication to her family and her adopted homeland. The story of Maud of Savoy is a testament to the power of partnership and the enduring strength of a woman who embraced her role as queen with courage and conviction. Her life serves as a reminder that history is not solely the domain of kings and generals, but also of those who work tirelessly behind the scenes, shaping the course of events with wisdom, compassion, and resolve. Nestled in the shadow of the Alps, the Duchy of Savoy was a land of stunning natural beauty and strategic importance. Its towering peaks served as both a shield and a gateway, connecting the rich cultures of Italy, France, and the German-speaking regions. It was here, amidst the majestic mountains and flourishing courts, that Maud of Savoy was born into one of Europe's most prominent noble families. Her early life was steeped in the traditions of her house, a lineage that emphasized both martial prowess and diplomatic acumen. Maud's father, Amadeus III, Count of Savoy, was a man of vision and ambition. As head of the house, he was keenly aware of the role Savoy played in the ever-shifting power dynamics of medieval Europe. Amadeus was not only a shrewd politician but also a devoutly religious man. Deeply invested in the Crusader cause, he undertook a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, an endeavor that further cemented his family's reputation for piety and leadership. Maud's mother, Matilda of Alban, was equally formidable, a woman of strong will and sharp intellect. Matilda played a significant role in shaping the domestic and political life of Savoy, ensuring that her children were well prepared for the roles they were destined to play. Maud grew up in a household that valued education, culture, and service. Her early years were spent in the fortified castles and verdant valleys of Savoy, where she was tutored in languages, history, theology, and the arts. The court of Savoy was a hub of intellectual and cultural exchange, attracting scholars, poets, and artists from across Europe. Maud was exposed to this rich tapestry of ideas and influences, fostering a worldview that would serve her well in her future role as queen. Alongside her brothers and sisters, she learned the intricacies of courtly etiquette, the nuances of diplomacy, and the art of managing a household, skills that were essential for a noblewoman of her stature. Despite the privilege of her upbringing, Maud's life was not without its challenges. The political landscape of medieval Europe was fraught with tension and conflict, and the House of Savoy was no stranger to the intrigues and rivalries that characterized the era. As a young girl, Maud witnessed her father navigating these complexities, forging alliances and defending his lands against external threats. These experiences left an indelible mark on her, instilling a deep sense of duty and resilience that would define her character. It was during these formative years that Maud's path intersected with that of Afonso Henriquez, a rising figure in the Iberian Peninsula. At the time, Afonso was a young and ambitious leader, fighting to carve out an independent kingdom from the remnants of the County of Portugal. The marriage between Maud and Afonso was not a union born of romance but of strategy. For Afonso, marrying a daughter of the House of Savoy brought legitimacy and valuable connections to European courts. For Savoy, the alliance provided a foothold in the Iberian Peninsula, a region of growing importance in the Reconquista and European politics. The betrothal was arranged with the precision of a military campaign. Envoys from Portugal traveled to Savoy, bearing gifts and promises of mutual benefit. The negotiations were conducted with care, balancing the ambitions of both houses while ensuring the terms were agreeable to the bride's family. For Maud, the arrangement meant leaving behind the only home she had ever known to embark on a journey into the unknown. Yet she accepted her fate with grace and determination, understanding the weight of her role in this alliance. The journey from Savoy to Portugal was an epic undertaking. Traversing mountains, rivers, and plains, Maud's entourage included knights, ladies-in-waiting, and servants, all tasked with ensuring her safe passage. Along the way, she encountered the diverse landscapes and cultures of medieval Europe, from the bustling towns of Burgundy to the serene monasteries of the Pyrenees. Each stop was an opportunity for Maud to observe and learn, further expanding her understanding of the world she was entering. When Maud finally arrived in Portugal, she was greeted with a mixture of awe and anticipation. The court of Afonso Henriques, though young and relatively modest compared to the grand courts of Europe, was a place of energy and ambition. Afonso himself was a dynamic leader, known for his martial skill and unyielding determination. Yet beneath his warrior exterior was a man who understood the importance of diplomacy and governance, qualities that Maud would help him refine. The marriage ceremony was a grand affair, symbolizing the union of two houses and the beginning of a new chapter for Portugal. Dressed in the finest silks and adorned with jewels, Maud stood as a beacon of hope and unity, a queen who would bring stability and prestige to a nascent kingdom. The vows exchanged that day were not merely between two individuals but between two nations, pledging mutual support and shared destiny. As Maud settled into her new life, she quickly adapted to the rhythms of the Portuguese court. Her Savoyard upbringing proved invaluable, as she brought a level of sophistication and organization that elevated the court's standing. Maud's fluency in multiple languages, including Latin, French, and perhaps even some rudimentary Portuguese, allowed her to navigate the complexities of court politics with ease. She became a trusted advisor to Afonso, her insights and perspectives often guiding his decisions both on and off the battlefield. In the years that followed, Maud's influence grew, not through overt displays of power but through her quiet yet effective leadership. She cultivated relationships with key figures in the court, fostering loyalty and trust. Her understanding of European politics helped Afonso secure alliances that were crucial to Portugal's survival and expansion. At the same time, Maud endeared herself to the Portuguese people, her grace and compassion earning her a place in their hearts. Through her marriage to Afonso Henriques, Maud of Savoy became more than a queen. She became a bridge between cultures, a symbol of unity, and a driving force behind the rise of Portugal. Her early life in Savoy, marked by privilege, education, and resilience, laid the foundation for her role as a partner and leader in a kingdom on the brink of greatness. As her story unfolds, the true extent of her impact on Portuguese history begins to emerge, a testament to the power of courage, intellect, and dedication in shaping the course of a nation. The union between Maud of Savoy and Afonso I of Portugal was not merely a matter of love or personal choice. It was a carefully orchestrated political maneuver, a marriage born of strategy and mutual opportunity, as Afonso sought to carve an independent kingdom from the volatile Iberian Peninsula. He understood the importance of forging alliances beyond Portugal's borders. Maud's noble lineage and connections to the courts of Europe made her an ideal match, bringing both legitimacy and valuable alliances to the fledgling kingdom. From the outset, the marriage demonstrated the balance of power and ambition that defined their relationship. Afonso, though a formidable warrior and leader, recognized in Maud a partner whose diplomatic skills and cultural refinement could complement his martial prowess. For her part, Maud embraced her role with determination, understanding that her influence would be critical in shaping the destiny of her new homeland. The first years of their marriage were marked by significant challenges. Portugal, still emerging from the shadow of its larger neighbors, Castile and Leon, faced threats on multiple fronts. The Reconquista was in full swing, with Christian and Muslim forces vying for control of the Iberian Peninsula. Afonso's campaigns against the Moors demanded relentless focus and resources, leaving little room for domestic stability. In this tumultuous environment, Maud became a steadying force, her presence at court lending an air of legitimacy and order. Maud's role extended beyond the ceremonial duties of queenship. She was actively involved in the administration of the court, often acting as an intermediary between Afonso and the nobility. Her upbringing in Savoy, with its intricate courtly politics, had prepared her well for this role. She understood the delicate balance of power among the Portuguese nobles, many of whom had their own ambitions and rivalries. By fostering relationships and mediating disputes, Maud ensured that the court remained unified in its support of Afonso's vision. One of Maud's most significant contributions during this period was her ability to strengthen Portugal's ties with other European powers. Her marriage to Afonso brought Portugal into the network of alliances that connected the Savoyard court to the wider continent. Through correspondence and diplomatic visits, Maud maintained these connections, securing military and financial support that bolstered Portugal's position. This was particularly critical during Afonso's campaigns, as the resources and manpower provided by these alliances often made the difference between victory and defeat. At the same time, Maud began to leave her mark on Portuguese culture and society. Her arrival brought an infusion of European customs and traditions, elevating the cultural life of the court. She encouraged the development of the arts, commissioning works that celebrated Portugal's burgeoning identity as a kingdom. The influence of Savoyard architecture and fashion became evident in the palaces and attire of the Portuguese nobility, reflecting Maud's impact on the cultural landscape. Despite these successes, Maud's role was not without its difficulties. The political landscape of medieval Europe was fraught with tension, and Portugal's position as a young kingdom made it particularly vulnerable. Afonso's campaigns against the Moors, while critical to securing Portuguese independence, placed immense strain on the kingdom's resources and its people. The court was often a hotbed of intrigue, with factions vying for influence and power. Maud navigated these challenges with a combination of diplomacy and pragmatism, ensuring that the kingdom remained stable even during times of crisis. Perhaps the most significant testament to Maud's influence during this period was her partnership with Afonso. Theirs was not a marriage in which the queen remained in the shadow of the king. Rather, it was a partnership of equals, each bringing their unique strengths to the table. Afonso relied on Maud's counsel in matters of diplomacy and governance, valuing her insights and perspective. Maud, in turn, supported Afonso's military endeavors, rallying the nobility and the people to his cause. This partnership was evident in the way they approached the task of nation-building. Afonso's victories on the battlefield laid the foundation for Portugal's independence. But it was Maud's efforts at court that ensured this independence would be recognized and sustained. Together, they worked to establish the institutions and traditions that would define Portugal as a kingdom, from its legal and administrative systems to its cultural identity. One of the pivotal moments in their marriage came in 1143, when Afonso declared Portugal's independence from Leon at the Treaty of Zamora. This was a watershed moment in Portuguese history, marking the formal recognition of Afonso as King of Portugal. Maud's role in this achievement, while often overlooked, was critical. Her diplomatic efforts and ability to foster alliances played a key part in securing the support necessary for this bold move. The treaty was not just a victory for Afonso, but also a testament to the strength of their partnership and the shared vision they had for Portugal. As the years passed, Maud continued to balance her responsibilities as queen with her role as a mother. The birth of her children, particularly Sancho I, who would later succeed Afonso, marked a new chapter in her life. Maud was deeply involved in their upbringing, instilling in them the values of faith, courage, and service to their people. Her influence on Sancho was particularly significant, shaping his approach to governance and his vision for Portugal's future. Through these years, Maud's presence at court remained a symbol of stability and continuity. She became a beloved figure among the Portuguese people, her grace and compassion earning her the respect and admiration of all who knew her, whether mediating disputes among the nobility, supporting the establishment of religious institutions, or fostering the cultural development of the kingdom. Maud's contributions were integral to Portugal's growth and success. By the time Portugal had secured its place as an independent kingdom, Maud's influence was undeniable. She had played a key role in transforming a young and fragile state into a unified and stable realm. Her marriage to Afonso was more than a political alliance. It was a partnership that laid the foundation for Portugal's future as a nation. Through her wisdom, determination, and unwavering support, Maud of Savoy became an indispensable figure in the story of Portugal's rise, a queen whose legacy endures to this day. The mid-12th century was a time of uncertainty and ambition for Portugal. Afonso I, now a battle-hardened leader, sought to assert his kingdom's independence amidst the chaos of the Iberian Peninsula. The Reconquista, a series of military campaigns to reclaim territories from Muslim rule, dominated the region, providing both an opportunity and a challenge. For Portugal, these campaigns were not merely about religion but survival. Securing independence from Leon and Castile while expanding its borders became Afonso's dual mission. Throughout this turbulent era, Maud of Savoy stood steadfastly by his side, a queen who understood that her role was as much about shaping the battlefield from afar as it was about securing the kingdom's future. The path to independence was not straightforward. Afonso had to contend with Leon, whose monarch, King Afonso VII, sought to maintain dominance over Portugal. Their relationship was complicated by familial ties. Afonso I of Portugal was Alfonso VII's cousin, but such bonds mattered little in the cutthroat politics of the medieval world. Afonso's bold proclamation as King of Portugal in 1139 was an act of defiance, and the years that followed were fraught with battles, both literal and diplomatic, to make this claim a reality. While Afonso was on the battlefield, Maud was at court, ensuring the stability of the kingdom and fostering alliances. She quickly grasped the precariousness of their position. Without recognition from powerful European monarchs or the papacy, Portugal's independence was at constant risk. Drawing from her upbringing in the sophisticated courts of Savoy, Maud became a master of diplomacy. She corresponded with influential figures across Europe, leveraging her familial ties to secure Portugal's place on the political map. One of her key contributions during this period was her relationship with the Church. The papacy held immense power in medieval Europe, and gaining its favor was crucial for Portugal's legitimacy. Maud, deeply devout and well-versed in ecclesiastical matters, took the lead in fostering ties with the Church. She supported the establishment of monasteries and religious institutions, demonstrating Portugal's commitment to Christian ideals. Her piety and generosity did not go unnoticed, earning the kingdom favor with influential clergymen who would later advocate for Portugal's recognition. In 1140, the Battle of Ourique became a defining moment for Portugal's independence movement. Afonso led his forces against a larger Muslim army, emerging victorious in a battle that became the stuff of legend. According to chroniclers, Afonso claimed to have seen a divine vision of Christ before the battle, a sign of God's blessing for his mission. While the victory solidified Afonso's status as a warrior king, Maud's role in ensuring that this moment resonated beyond the battlefield was equally vital. She helped craft the narrative that portrayed Afonso as a divinely chosen leader, a move that bolstered his legitimacy and rallied support for the fledgling kingdom. The Treaty of Zamora in 1143 marked a turning point. Afonso negotiated with Alfonso VII of Leon, securing recognition of Portugal as an independent kingdom. This was not a triumph achieved by force alone. It required careful negotiation and diplomacy. Maud's influence was felt throughout this process. Her correspondence with European courts and her advocacy for Portugal's cause had laid the groundwork for this moment. The treaty was a testament to the partnership between Afonso and Maud, a union that combined martial strength with diplomatic finesse. Even as Portugal celebrated its newfound independence, the challenges were far from over. The kingdom's borders remained contested, and the Moors continued to pose a threat in the south. Afonso launched campaigns to expand Portuguese territory, focusing on the strategically vital region of the Algarve. These military efforts were grueling, requiring not only resources but also the unwavering loyalty of the nobility. Maud played a crucial role in maintaining this loyalty. Her ability to mediate disputes and foster unity within the court ensured that Afonso could focus on his campaigns without the distractions of internal dissent. Maud's efforts extended beyond the court and the battlefield. She recognized that for Portugal to truly thrive, it needed a strong cultural and economic foundation. She encouraged the development of trade, leveraging her connections to European merchants and noble families to foster commerce. Her influence was evident in the growth of towns and markets, which became hubs of activity and wealth for the kingdom. These economic advances strengthened Portugal's position, providing the resources necessary to sustain its independence. Amidst the political and military struggles, Maud's personal life was deeply intertwined with the kingdom's destiny. The birth of her children, particularly Sancho I, provided a sense of continuity and hope. Maud was deeply involved in their education, ensuring they were prepared for the roles they would one day assume. Her influence on Sancho was profound, shaping his understanding of governance and his vision for Portugal. Under her guidance, he learned not only the art of leadership but also the importance of balancing strength with diplomacy. As the years passed, Maud's role as queen evolved. No longer merely the wife of a king, she became a symbol of Portugal's resilience and ambition. Her ability to navigate the complexities of medieval politics, her unwavering support for Afonso's vision, and her dedication to her adopted homeland made her an indispensable figure in the kingdom's history. Together, she and Afonso forged a legacy that would endure long after their reign, a testament to their partnership and their shared commitment to Portugal's future. By the end of this chapter in Portugal's story, the kingdom had emerged as a force to be reckoned with, its independence secured through a combination of courage, strategy, and faith. Maud of Savoy's contributions to this achievement were immeasurable. Though she rarely took center stage, her influence was felt in every corner of the kingdom, from the court to the battlefield. She was more than a queen. She was a builder of nations, a bridge between worlds, and a beacon of hope in a time of uncertainty. As Portugal began to stabilize under the leadership of Afonso I, Maud of Savoy transitioned into a role that was equally demanding and profound, that of a mother and mentor. Her contributions to the political and cultural development of the kingdom were already undeniable, but her influence on her children would define the next generation of Portuguese leadership. In raising heirs to the throne, Maud understood that her legacy extended far beyond her lifetime. Through her children, she sought to secure the kingdom's future, instilling in them the values and vision necessary to continue the work she and Afonso had begun. Maud's most notable child was Sancho I, later known as Sancho the Populator, who would succeed Afonso as King of Portugal. From an early age, Sancho displayed a keen intellect and a natural curiosity about the world. Maud took a hands-on approach to his education, ensuring he was well-versed in governance, diplomacy, and the art of negotiation. She introduced him to the complexities of court politics, teaching him to navigate alliances and rivalries with grace and pragmatism. These lessons were not confined to books or lectures. They were woven into the fabric of daily life at court, where Sancho observed his mother deftly managing disputes and fostering unity among the nobility. Sancho's education extended beyond the courtly halls of Portugal. Through Maud's connections, he was exposed to the broader European context, learning about the kingdoms and principalities that shaped the continent. Maud often shared stories of her childhood in Savoy, recounting the political strategies and cultural richness of her homeland. These tales were more than just anecdotes. They were lessons in statecraft and the importance of forging international alliances. Sancho grew to understand that Portugal's survival and prosperity depended on its ability to engage with the wider world, a perspective that would shape his reign. Maud's influence was not limited to Sancho. Her daughter, Urraca, also benefited from her mother's guidance. In a time when women were often relegated to secondary roles, Maud ensured that Urraca received a comprehensive education, preparing her for a life of influence and responsibility. Urraca's eventual marriage to a powerful nobleman further solidified Portugal's alliances, a testament to Maud's ability to see beyond the immediate needs of the kingdom and plan for its long-term stability. Despite her focus on her children, Maud remained deeply involved in the affairs of the court. She understood that her actions set a precedent, not just for her family but for the entire nobility. By modeling a balance of authority and compassion, she demonstrated what it meant to be a leader in both the public and private spheres. Her ability to seamlessly transition between the roles of queen, mother, and diplomat earned her the admiration of those around her, from the highest-ranking nobles to the common people who looked to her as a symbol of stability and grace. Maud's relationship with Afonso during this period was one of mutual respect and collaboration. While Afonso continued to focus on military campaigns and territorial expansion, he relied on Maud to manage the kingdom's internal affairs. This division of labor was not merely practical. It was a reflection of their deep partnership. Afonso trusted Maud implicitly, knowing that her judgment and insight were invaluable. Together, they worked to create a legacy that would endure, each playing to their strengths while supporting the other's endeavors. One of Maud's most enduring contributions during this time was her role in fostering a sense of national identity. Through her patronage of the arts and her support for the church, she helped shape the cultural and spiritual foundation of Portugal. She encouraged the creation of works that celebrated Portuguese history and achievements, commissioning manuscripts and tapestries that would inspire pride and unity among the people. Her deep faith also led her to support the establishment of monasteries and religious institutions, which became centers of learning and community in the kingdom. As her children grew older, Maud began to see the fruits of her labor. Sancho, in particular, emerged as a capable and visionary leader, ready to take on the responsibilities of kingship. His policies as king would reflect the lessons he had learned from his mother, particularly his focus on populating and developing the kingdom's interior regions. Under his reign, Portugal would continue to grow and thrive, building on the foundation laid by Maud and Afonso. Yet, Maud's role as a mother was not without its challenges. The pressures of court life, the demands of governance, and the ever-present threat of conflict weighed heavily on her family. Maud's ability to maintain a sense of stability and purpose during these times was a testament to her strength and resilience. She provided a steadying influence, ensuring that her children remained grounded even as they were thrust into positions of power and responsibility. By the end of this period, Maud had established herself as a central figure in Portuguese history. Her contributions as a mother, queen, and diplomat were deeply intertwined, each reinforcing the other in a seamless web of influence. Through her children, she ensured that the values and vision she held dear would continue to shape the kingdom for generations to come. Her legacy was not merely one of power or authority. It was one of guidance, inspiration, and unwavering dedication to the people and land she had come to call home. As Portugal emerged from the shadow of its larger neighbors and solidified its independence, the focus of Afonso I and Maud of Savoy shifted toward the formidable task of nation-building. The kingdom was still in its infancy, its borders contested and its institutions fragile. Maud understood that the strength of a kingdom was not solely measured by the size of its armies or the victories of its king, but by the resilience of its people, the integrity of its governance, and the richness of its culture. With this vision in mind, she embarked on a tireless effort to lay the foundations of a thriving, united, and enduring Portugal. Maud's approach to building a kingdom was multifaceted. She recognized the importance of fostering economic growth, promoting cultural development, and ensuring political stability. Her upbringing in Savoy, a region renowned for its trade and governance, gave her a deep understanding of how to nurture these aspects of society. Drawing on her experiences, she implemented strategies that would not only strengthen the monarchy but also empower the people of Portugal. One of Maud's earliest priorities was to encourage trade and commerce. Portugal's geographical location on the Atlantic coast presented unique opportunities for maritime trade, but the kingdom lacked the infrastructure and expertise to fully capitalize on this potential. Maud worked to change that. She invited merchants from across Europe to establish connections with Portuguese ports, fostering an environment of exchange and cooperation. Her connections to the courts of Savoy and other European powers proved invaluable in this endeavor, as they facilitated the flow of goods, ideas, and innovations into Portugal. Under Maud's influence, trade flourished. The bustling markets of Lisbon, Porto, and Coimbra became hubs of activity, attracting merchants and craftsmen from across the Iberian Peninsula and beyond. These developments brought newfound prosperity to the kingdom, providing the resources needed to fund Afonso's military campaigns and invest in infrastructure. Maud's vision of a Portugal that thrived on commerce and cultural exchange began to take shape, setting the stage for the kingdom's future as a maritime power. While economic growth was a cornerstone of Maud's efforts, she also placed great emphasis on cultural development. She believed that a strong national identity was essential for uniting a diverse and often fractious population. To this end, she became a patron of the arts, commissioning works that celebrated Portugal's history, values, and aspirations. Minstrels sang of Afonso's victories, chroniclers documented the kingdom's rise, and artisans crafted symbols of Portuguese pride. These cultural expressions not only inspired the people but also reinforced the legitimacy of the monarchy, portraying it as a unifying force in a divided land. Maud's contributions extended to the realm of architecture. Drawing on the influences of her Savoyard heritage, she introduced new styles and techniques to Portuguese building practices. Churches, monasteries, and castles were constructed with a blend of Romanesque and local elements, creating structures that were both functional and symbolic. These buildings became centers of community life, places of worship, and bastions of defense, embodying the strength and faith of the Portuguese people. In addition to her cultural and economic initiatives, Maud was deeply involved in the governance of the kingdom. She understood that the stability of Portugal depended on the establishment of effective institutions and the rule of law. Working alongside Afonso, she helped to formalize the structures of governance. From the royal court to local councils, Maud's diplomatic skills were particularly valuable in this regard, as she mediated disputes, negotiated alliances, and ensured that the nobility remained loyal to the crown. Maud's efforts were not without challenges. The kingdom's nobility, while essential to its defense and administration, often had their own ambitions and rivalries. Keeping these factions united required constant vigilance and diplomacy. Maud's ability to navigate these complexities was one of her greatest strengths. She fostered relationships based on mutual respect and shared goals, using her position as queen to bridge divides and build consensus. Her success in this regard ensured that Afonso could focus on his military campaigns without the distraction of internal conflicts. One of Maud's most enduring legacies was her support for the church. She believed that faith was a cornerstone of society, providing a moral framework and a source of unity for the people. Her patronage of religious institutions went beyond mere charity. It was a deliberate effort to strengthen the spiritual foundation of the kingdom. Monasteries and convents flourished under her guidance, becoming centers of learning, charity, and cultural preservation. The Church, in turn, became a staunch ally of the monarchy, lending its moral authority to Afonso's rule and reinforcing the legitimacy of Portugal's independence. Through her tireless efforts, Maud transformed Portugal from a fragile and fragmented territory into a cohesive and thriving kingdom. Her vision extended beyond the immediate needs of her time, encompassing a long-term strategy for growth and stability. She understood that the true measure of a kingdom's strength lay in the well-being of its people, the richness of its culture, and the integrity of its institutions. By addressing these aspects with care and foresight, Maud ensured that Portugal was not only able to survive but to flourish. As Portugal grew stronger, so too did Maud's influence. She became a beloved figure, respected for her wisdom and admired for her compassion. Her ability to balance the demands of queenship with her roles as a mother, diplomat, and cultural patron made her a model of leadership, inspiring generations to come. By the end of her life, Maud had left an indelible mark on Portugal, a legacy that would be carried forward by her children and celebrated in the annals of history. In the story of Portugal's rise, Maud of Savoy is often overshadowed by the exploits of her husband, Afonso I. Yet her contributions were no less significant. Through her vision, determination, and unwavering dedication, she helped to build a kingdom that would endure for centuries. Maud's story is a testament to the power of partnership and the enduring impact of quiet, steadfast leadership. As Portugal grew into its newfound independence and strength, the kingdom faced challenges that tested the very foundations Afonso I and Maud of Savoy had worked so hard to establish. While Afonso's campaigns had carved out the physical borders of Portugal, maintaining the integrity of the kingdom required a different set of skills. Internal disputes among the nobility, external threats from neighboring kingdoms, and the pressures of governance created a volatile environment. During this tumultuous period, Maud's role as a mediator and stabilizing force became more critical than ever. Portugal's nobility, instrumental in the wars of independence, began to assert their own interests as peace settled over the land. Many of these lords had grown powerful through their contributions to Afonso's campaigns, and their loyalty was often tied to personal gains or territorial concessions. This dynamic bred rivalries and power struggles, threatening the unity of the kingdom. Afonso, ever the warrior king, was inclined to confront these challenges with decisive action. But Maud recognized that diplomacy and compromise would yield more lasting results. Maud's upbringing in the court of Savoy had prepared her well for the intricacies of noble politics. She understood the delicate balance required to maintain the loyalty of powerful lords while asserting the authority of the crown. Her approach was methodical and empathetic, often involving personal audiences with disgruntled nobles. These meetings, held in the private chambers of the royal court, allowed Maud to address grievances directly, offering solutions that aligned the interests of the nobility with those of the kingdom. Her ability to listen and mediate earned her the respect of many who might have otherwise rebelled against royal authority. One of Maud's greatest successes during this time was her role in resolving a significant dispute among Portugal's landed aristocracy. Several noble families, dissatisfied with the division of newly conquered lands in the south, had begun to form alliances against the crown. Left unchecked, their dissatisfaction could have escalated into open rebellion. Maud intervened, convening a council at the royal court where she acted as a neutral arbiter. She carefully navigated the competing claims, redistributing land and granting privileges in a way that appeased all parties while maintaining the crown's authority. This resolution not only prevented conflict but also reinforced the idea that the monarchy was a fair and just institution. While Maud worked to maintain internal stability, Portugal faced external threats that demanded Afonso's attention. Castile and Leon, though temporarily pacified by the Treaty of Zamora, remained watchful neighbors, ever eager to reclaim what they viewed as their rightful territory. To the south, the Moors continued to resist Portuguese incursions into the Algarve, launching raids that destabilized border regions. These pressures required constant vigilance, and Afonso's military campaigns resumed with renewed intensity. Maud's contributions during these campaigns extended far beyond the confines of the royal court. She managed the kingdom's resources with precision, ensuring that the army was well supplied and the population was not overburdened by taxation. Her efforts in fostering trade and economic growth bore fruit during these years, as the prosperity of Portugal's towns and cities provided the financial means to sustain prolonged military efforts. Maud also played a key role in rallying support for Afonso's campaigns, using her influence among the nobility to secure troops and supplies. The church remained a vital ally in Portugal's struggles, and Maud's relationship with ecclesiastical leaders proved invaluable. She worked tirelessly to maintain the support of the clergy, who provided both moral justification and material aid for the kingdom's efforts. Monasteries served as centers of logistics and refuge, their resources bolstering the war effort. In return, Maud ensured that the church's interests were protected, granting lands and privileges that cemented its loyalty to the crown. Amidst these external and internal pressures, Maud faced challenges within her own family. The demands of kingship and queenship often meant long periods of separation from her children, who were being groomed for their future roles. Sancho, now a young man, began to take on greater responsibilities, assisting his father in governance and military campaigns. While Maud was proud of her son's growth, she also recognized the strain that these responsibilities placed on him. She made a concerted effort to remain involved in his life, offering guidance and reassurance during moments of doubt. One such moment came during a particularly difficult campaign in the south, where Sancho had been entrusted with leading a contingent of troops. Faced with unexpected resistance from the Moors, he hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Maud, though far from the battlefield, wrote to her son, her words carrying the weight of both wisdom and maternal love. She reminded him of the values she had instilled in him: courage, faith, and the duty to serve his people. Buoyed by her encouragement, Sancho rallied his forces and achieved a decisive victory, a turning point that solidified his confidence as a leader. While Maud's influence was most visible in moments of crisis, her contributions to the everyday governance of Portugal were no less significant. She worked to strengthen the kingdom's administrative structures, ensuring that laws were enforced fairly and efficiently. Her emphasis on justice and equity resonated with the Portuguese people, who saw in their queen a leader who cared deeply about their welfare. This connection between Maud and her subjects became one of the defining features of her reign, fostering a sense of unity and shared purpose that endured even in the face of adversity. As the years passed, the challenges to Portugal's crown began to subside. Afonso's military successes, coupled with Maud's diplomatic efforts, had secured the kingdom's borders and its place in the Iberian Peninsula. The nobility, once a source of instability, now stood firmly behind the monarchy, their loyalty cemented by Maud's efforts to address their concerns and protect their interests. The kingdom's economy, bolstered by trade and prudent management, provided a stable foundation for future growth. By the end of this period, Maud's role as a stabilizing force had become indispensable. She had guided Portugal through some of its most precarious moments, her leadership ensuring that the kingdom emerged stronger and more unified. Her ability to balance the demands of queenship with her roles as a diplomat, mother, and cultural patron made her a figure of unparalleled influence in Portuguese history. As the challenges to the crown faded, Maud turned her attention to the next phase of her life, one that would see her legacy take root in the hearts and minds of her people. As Afonso I aged, the weight of kingship gradually shifted onto the shoulders of his son, Sancho I. The transition of power was a critical juncture for the Kingdom of Portugal, and Maud of Savoy played a pivotal role in preparing her son to succeed his father. Her influence, carefully cultivated through years of guidance and mentoring, shaped not only Sancho's character but also the policies and priorities that would define his reign. This period marked the culmination of Maud's lifelong dedication to her family and to Portugal. Sancho, known as Sancho the Populator, earned his epithet for his relentless efforts to develop and populate Portugal's interior regions. These policies were deeply rooted in the values Maud had instilled in him: pragmatism, foresight, and a commitment to the welfare of the people. From an early age, Maud emphasized the importance of balancing the ambitions of the crown with the needs of the populace. This perspective influenced Sancho's approach to governance, which prioritized long-term stability and growth over short-term gains. As Afonso's health declined, Maud stepped forward to facilitate the transfer of power. She understood the potential for discord during such transitions, particularly in a kingdom where the nobility's loyalty could be fickle. Maud worked tirelessly to rally support for Sancho, securing the allegiance of key figures within the court and ensuring that the young prince's authority was recognized. Her efforts were not merely a matter of politics. They reflected her deep belief in Sancho's ability to lead Portugal into a new era. Sancho's early years as king were marked by challenges that tested his resolve and leadership. The kingdom's borders, though largely secure, still required vigilance against external threats. Internally, the nobility's ambitions and rivalries threatened to disrupt the delicate balance Maud had worked so hard to maintain. During these turbulent times, Sancho often turned to his mother for counsel, relying on her wisdom and experience to navigate the complexities of kingship. One of Sancho's most ambitious undertakings was his campaign to resettle and develop the interior regions of Portugal. These areas, neglected during the years of war and conquest, required substantial investment to become productive and self-sustaining. Maud, ever the pragmatist, supported these efforts wholeheartedly. She provided advice on land distribution, encouraged the establishment of new towns, and fostered relationships with the church to ensure its involvement in the process. The monasteries and religious institutions Maud had championed during her own tenure as queen became instrumental in Sancho's efforts, serving as centers of agriculture, education, and community life. The construction of new settlements brought opportunities and challenges. Sancho's policies attracted settlers from across the Iberian Peninsula and beyond, creating a diverse and dynamic population. However, integrating these communities into the fabric of Portuguese society required careful management. Maud's influence was evident in the inclusive approach Sancho adopted, which emphasized fairness and mutual benefit. Her lessons in diplomacy and governance guided him as he navigated the tensions that arose from these efforts. Sancho's relationship with the church also reflected Maud's enduring legacy. From the beginning of his reign, he sought to maintain the strong ties his mother had cultivated with ecclesiastical leaders. He continued to support the establishment of monasteries and churches, recognizing their role in stabilizing and enriching the kingdom. This partnership with the church not only reinforced Sancho's legitimacy but also ensured that Portugal remained a beacon of faith and unity in a fractured Iberian Peninsula. While Maud's influence was most visible in the realm of governance, her role as a mother remained central to her relationship with Sancho. Despite the demands of kingship, Sancho frequently sought her guidance, valuing her perspective on matters both personal and political. Their bond was one of mutual respect and shared purpose, a testament to the strength of the foundation Maud had built during his formative years. One of the most poignant moments of this period came when Maud, now advanced in age, reflected on the journey she and her family had undertaken. From her early days in the court of Savoy to her role as queen of a young and fragile kingdom, she had witnessed and shaped the transformation of Portugal into a stable and prosperous nation. Watching Sancho carry forward the vision she and Afonso had worked so hard to realize filled her with a profound sense of fulfillment. Sancho's reign was not without its struggles, but Maud's influence ensured that he faced these challenges with strength and resilience. Her guidance in matters of diplomacy, her example of compassionate leadership, and her unwavering belief in the potential of the Portuguese people left an indelible mark on his kingship. Under Sancho's rule, Portugal continued to grow and thrive, its foundations solid and its future bright. As Maud's life drew to a close, her role in shaping Portugal's history became increasingly clear. Her impact extended far beyond her immediate family, touching every aspect of the kingdom she had come to call home. Through her son, her legacy lived on, a testament to the enduring power of vision, determination, and love. Maud of Savoy's story is one of quiet strength and profound influence, a reminder that true leadership often lies in the ability to inspire and guide others toward a greater purpose. As the reign of Afonso I reached its twilight and Sancho I began to solidify his position as king, Maud of Savoy's focus shifted toward an enduring passion that had defined much of her life: her unwavering devotion to the church and the spiritual foundation of Portugal. Throughout her tenure as queen, Maud had been a staunch supporter of religious institutions, recognizing their role not only in uniting the people but also in shaping the moral and cultural fabric of the kingdom. In her later years, this commitment deepened, leaving an indelible mark on the Portuguese church and the broader Christian world. Maud's connection to the church was more than a matter of faith. It was a cornerstone of her vision for Portugal. She believed that a strong and pious church would serve as a pillar of stability and guidance for the kingdom, offering solace to its people and legitimacy to its rulers. From the earliest days of her marriage to Afonso, Maud had worked to cultivate this relationship, forging alliances with bishops and abbots, supporting the construction of monasteries, and ensuring that the clergy remained integral to the governance of the realm. Her patronage extended to some of the most significant religious institutions in Portugal, many of which she helped establish or expand. One of her proudest achievements was her support for the monastery of Santa Cruz in Coimbra, a center of learning and spirituality that would become one of the most influential religious institutions in the kingdom. Maud's generosity ensured that the monastery flourished, attracting scholars and clergy from across Europe. Its scriptorium became a hub for the preservation and production of manuscripts, enriching Portuguese culture and solidifying its ties to the broader Christian world. In addition to supporting established religious orders, Maud championed the founding of new ones. She worked closely with the Cistercians, a reformist order known for their emphasis on simplicity, piety, and manual labor. The arrival of the Cistercians in Portugal, facilitated in part by Maud's advocacy, marked a turning point in the kingdom's spiritual and agricultural development. Their monasteries, often located in remote and undeveloped regions, not only served as centers of worship but also as hubs of innovation and progress. Through their expertise in farming, architecture, and engineering, the Cistercians transformed the countryside, bringing prosperity to areas that had long been neglected. Maud's relationship with the church was not without its complexities. As a queen and later as a dowager, she navigated the intricate politics of ecclesiastical power, balancing the interests of the crown with those of the clergy. Her ability to mediate disputes and foster cooperation between secular and religious authorities was a testament to her diplomatic skill and her deep understanding of both realms. Even in moments of tension, Maud remained steadfast in her commitment to the church, viewing it as an essential partner in the mission to build a just and thriving kingdom. One of the most significant aspects of Maud's religious legacy was her role in promoting education and charity. She believed that knowledge and compassion were inseparable from faith, and she worked to ensure that the church fulfilled its responsibilities in these areas. Under her influence, monasteries and convents became centers of learning, offering education to the clergy and, in some cases, to lay people. At the same time, these institutions served as shelters for the poor, the sick, and the vulnerable, embodying the Christian values of mercy and service. Maud's personal piety was a source of inspiration to those around her. She was known for her regular attendance at Massachusetts, her support for pilgrimages, and her devotion to the Virgin Mary. Her faith was not confined to ritual. It was a guiding force in her life, influencing her decisions and her relationships. This devotion resonated with the Portuguese people, who saw in Maud a queen who embodied the virtues of humility, charity, and righteousness. As Maud entered her later years, she began to reflect on her spiritual journey and the legacy she would leave behind. She withdrew from the public eye, spending more time in prayer and contemplation. Her residence became a place of quiet reflection, where she continued to correspond with religious leaders and support the church's endeavors. This period of introspection did not diminish her influence. Rather, it deepened the respect and reverence in which she was held. One of the most poignant moments of Maud's later life was her decision to establish a foundation for the poor and marginalized, a project that became her final act of service. This institution, located near one of the monasteries she had supported, provided food, shelter, and care to those in need. It was a testament to her belief that true leadership extended beyond the throne, encompassing a responsibility to uplift and protect the most vulnerable members of society. When Maud passed away, her death was mourned across Portugal. Bishops and abbots led prayers in her honor, and the people of the kingdom paid tribute to the queen who had dedicated her life to their spiritual and material well-being. Her burial site, chosen by Maud herself, became a place of pilgrimage, drawing those who sought to honor her memory and draw inspiration from her life. Maud of Savoy's legacy as a patron of the church and a champion of faith continues to resonate in Portuguese history. Her efforts laid the foundation for a strong and unified church, one that played a central role in shaping the identity of the kingdom. Through her unwavering commitment to spirituality, education, and charity, Maud not only strengthened Portugal's institutions, but also enriched its soul. She remains a symbol of the enduring power of faith to unite, inspire, and transform. The story of Maud of Savoy, the queen who bridged worlds and shaped a kingdom, does not end with her passing. Her legacy, carefully woven into the fabric of Portugal, would endure for generations, influencing the nation's identity, culture, and governance. While her name might not appear as prominently in the chronicles of Portuguese history as her husband, Afonso I, or her son, Sancho I, Maud's contributions were no less significant. They formed the quiet, steady foundation upon which a resilient and prosperous kingdom was built. Maud's greatest legacy was the stability she helped create in a nascent kingdom fraught with challenges. At the time of her arrival in Portugal, the kingdom was little more than a contested territory, its independence fragile and its future uncertain. By the end of her life, Portugal had transformed into a cohesive state with recognized borders, robust institutions, and a growing sense of national identity. Maud's influence was central to this transformation. Through her diplomacy, administrative skill, and dedication to her adopted homeland, she laid the groundwork for Portugal's emergence as a powerful and enduring nation. One of Maud's most visible legacies was her patronage of the church and religious institutions. The monasteries, convents, and churches she supported during her lifetime became centers of faith, learning, and community, shaping the spiritual and cultural life of Portugal for centuries. These institutions not only reinforced the kingdom's Catholic identity but also served as hubs of innovation and development. The agricultural advancements introduced by monastic orders, the preservation of knowledge in monastic libraries, and the moral guidance offered by the clergy all contributed to Portugal's growth and cohesion. Maud's influence on the monarchy itself was equally profound. Her partnership with Afonso I set a precedent for a balanced and collaborative approach to leadership, one that emphasized the complementary roles of king and queen. Her role as a mediator, advisor, and cultural patron demonstrated the potential for queenship to extend beyond ceremonial duties. This model of queenship would inspire future generations of Portuguese queens, many of whom would look to Maud's example as they navigated the complexities of court politics and governance. The values Maud instilled in her children, particularly Sancho I, also formed a critical part of her legacy. Sancho's reign was characterized by policies that reflected his mother's influence, including his focus on populating and developing the kingdom's interior regions, fostering trade, and maintaining strong ties with the church. Under his leadership, Portugal continued to build on the foundations Maud had helped establish, expanding its territory, strengthening its institutions, and enhancing its cultural life. Beyond her contributions to governance and religion, Maud left an enduring mark on Portuguese society through her commitment to education and charity. The schools and charitable institutions she supported became symbols of her belief in the power of knowledge and compassion to uplift communities. Her efforts to promote education, particularly among the clergy, ensured that Portugal had a well-trained and morally grounded leadership. At the same time, her support for the poor and marginalized reinforced the idea that a just and prosperous society must care for its most vulnerable members. Maud's legacy was not confined to Portugal. Her connections to the House of Savoy and other European courts helped position Portugal as a respected player on the international stage. The alliances she fostered during her lifetime strengthened the kingdom's ties to the broader Christian world, ensuring that Portugal remained integrated into the political and cultural currents of medieval Europe. These relationships would prove invaluable as Portugal embarked on its journey as a maritime power in the centuries to come. As the years turned into centuries, Maud's memory became a source of inspiration and pride for the Portuguese people. Her life was celebrated in the chronicles of the kingdom, her deeds recounted in sermons, and her image immortalized in art and architecture. Pilgrims visited her burial site to pay homage to a queen whose faith and dedication had left an indelible mark on their nation. Scholars studied her contributions to Portuguese history, recognizing her as a key figure in the kingdom's rise. Maud's story is a testament to the enduring power of vision, resilience, and quiet strength. She arrived in Portugal as a young woman from a distant land, yet she embraced her role with unwavering determination, dedicating herself to the people and the kingdom she came to love. Her legacy is not only a reflection of her own character, but also a reminder of the transformative potential of leadership rooted in compassion and service. Today, Maud of Savoy's influence can still be felt in the institutions, traditions, and values of Portugal. Her life serves as an example of the profound impact that an individual can have on the course of history, even in the face of daunting challenges. Through her enduring legacy, Maud remains a symbol of unity, faith, and perseverance, a queen whose memory continues to inspire and guide the nation she helped to build. As the years turned into centuries, the story of Maud of Savoy became woven into the fabric of Portugal's national identity. Her influence, though often understated in the grand narratives of kings and warriors, left an indelible mark on the kingdom she helped shape. In her life, Maud exemplified the power of quiet leadership, diplomacy, and devotion. In her death, she became a symbol of the enduring values of unity, faith, and perseverance. Maud's descendants carried forward her legacy, building on the foundations she had helped lay. Her son, Sancho I, earned his place in history as a king dedicated to the development and prosperity of Portugal. His policies reflected the values Maud had instilled in him: pragmatism, compassion, and a commitment to the well-being of his people. Under his reign, Portugal expanded its territories, strengthened its institutions, and flourished culturally and economically. Through Sancho, Maud's vision for a stable and thriving kingdom became a reality. In the centuries that followed, Portugal rose to prominence as a global power, embarking on the age of exploration and establishing a vast maritime empire. Though Maud did not live to see this transformation, her influence was felt in the values and institutions that underpinned Portugal's success. The emphasis on trade, the strong ties to the church, and the commitment to education and cultural development that she championed became hallmarks of the Portuguese state. Maud's legacy also lived on in the hearts and minds of the Portuguese people. Her dedication to charity and the welfare of the poor left a lasting impression, inspiring generations to uphold the ideals of compassion and service. The institutions she founded and supported continued to serve as beacons of hope and progress, their influence reaching far beyond her lifetime. For historians and scholars, Maud's story serves as a reminder of the often overlooked contributions of queens and noblewomen in shaping the course of history. While kings and generals may dominate the pages of history books, figures like Maud demonstrate the profound impact of diplomacy, faith, and quiet leadership. Her life is a testament to the power of partnership, as her collaboration with Afonso I laid the groundwork for the kingdom's enduring success. In the modern era, Maud's legacy continues to inspire. Her story is celebrated in Portugal's cultural heritage, from the chronicles of medieval historians to the art and literature of later generations. Monuments and memorials stand as reminders of her contributions, and her name is spoken with reverence in the halls of academia and the hearts of those who cherish Portugal's history. As we reflect on Maud's life, it is clear that her story is not merely one of a queen or a wife, but of a leader, a mother, and a builder of nations. From her early days in the court of Savoy to her final years in Portugal, Maud dedicated herself to the service of her people and her adopted homeland. Her journey, marked by courage, resilience, and unwavering faith, continues to resonate as a source of inspiration and hope. Maud of Savoy's life was a bridge between worlds, connecting the traditions of her birthplace with the aspirations of a young and ambitious kingdom. Through her vision and dedication, she helped transform Portugal from a fledgling state into a nation poised for greatness. Her legacy, like the kingdom she helped build, endures as a testament to the power of leadership, compassion, and love. And so, as the story of Maud of Savoy comes to a close, we are reminded that her life was not just a chapter in the history of Portugal, but a foundation upon which the future was built. Her influence lives on, not only in the monuments and institutions she left behind, but in the spirit of a nation that continues to thrive. Guided by the values she held dear,